Greetings, my friends, and welcome to Complete Caning Course, Part 1, Blends and Prep, brought to you by tinypandora.com. So today we're starting with some nice Primo clay. Primo is excellent for caning because it's not too hard, not too soft. And I like to teach caning with just one color to begin with. And I think you'd be surprised at how much mileage we can really get out of just one color. And remember, it doesn't have to be fuchsia, so pick a color you like. I always start out with 6 blocks of clay because I want a lot of prepared clay to work with. I don't want to be stopping and fooling around and having to run out. And you'll find you'll always use it. So I start with the lightest color, in this case white. I'm going to cut this in 3 slices like this. And I can put it through my pasta machine. And I don't have to condition it too much because when you make a blend, that's really an easy way to condition clay. So I'm going to put it through and just get it bonded enough to make some slabs that we can make into blends. I'm using an Atlas 180 with a Marcato motor. I do recommend a motor. I find a lot more blending doing. Now you see that I was tapping that knob because if you turn your knob while the motor's running, you can strip the gears out, and I've almost ruined this machine doing that. So I want to tell you, just turn off the motor before you change thicknesses on your little knob there. Anyway, put these through like this, and then I can put them together because they're, pretty uniform in size. And I can start making my square or rectangular shape that lends itself to blending. You guys all know about the Skinner blend, I'm sure. Invented by Judith Skinner, and she's really saved our life with that blending because I saw ways that people used to do it, and man, oh man, it was just so tedious. So I'll show you the Judith Skinner method. You're going to want to check out some other ones. Simmons does a modified Skinner blend. Just beautiful, gives you a lot of variation, and I'll put a link to Simmons. She's a wonderful, wonderful artist whom I admire. But you'll see if you just kind of manipulate your clay a little bit. I had that thin spot, so I just kind of rolled it up. That you're going to end up with a really reasonable sheet of clay to work with. So I start my Skinner blends with these, and that's 1 package of clay. And I'll add to it another package of clay and put those strips together. Because as I said, I'm going to prepare everything today so that when I sit down to make cane, I can just relax and have fun. It's kind of like a paint palette of clay, and you don't have to do it later. So there's my prepared white, my prepared fuchsia. And you'll see how easy it is to make a Skinner blend. You don't have to have perfect pieces to begin with. We've all seen how wonky they go in the pasta machine anyway, so don't worry about it being perfect. It's going to turn out fine. I just cut them both like this, make a double stack, and I'm doing about half of my, probably a little bit, about half of my material here because I'm going to use the other half to make a blend just like this that will roll up a different way. And we'll see that in a minute. I'm saving my colors together for later. And now I don't have to worry about making a perfect rectangle or a perfect square because I just cut it into the shape I want. In a lot of my videos, people say, oh my gosh, how come everything comes out so clean? Well, it doesn't. I cut it into a nice shape so that you'll be impressed. It doesn't just come out of the pasta machine all nice like that or anything. We push it together and roll over it a little bit like this. That way when you go to pick it up, it doesn't split apart on you. The thing with Skinner blends is 2 colors should be touching the rollers, or as many colors as you have in your blend. So that's how you remember which side to put down, okay? You got 2 colors touching the rollers. That's about 4 passes. You see it starting to blend. I didn't make you watch all that because how boring would that be? You can do as many as you want to. I like my blends a little bit choppy and striated looking, but some people like them really smooth. see, that's about as far as I go because I like to see the colors change, like where they change. But not everybody does. So this is the point at which you make a long strip, and I'm always asked about that. How do you get the long strip? Well, you're going to fold it like this. Colors, same colors touching. I'm just going to trim off that little bit just to make it more uniform when I take it back out of there. See, that's all I've cut off of anything so far. Now I'm going to put it through the pasta machine this way, and that's really the first time you're putting it in with just one color touching the rollers, is when you're making your strip. I'm going to do it several times, maybe 3 times at the most, because you don't need your strip to be too thin and delicate. I saw a video the other day where this she's probably on an 8 or 9 or something. And yes, it was beautiful, you know, and her video was lovely. I'm not criticizing it. But that thing was tearing and coming apart on her, and she was having to put it back together, and she did a stellar job of it, but I would have been so aggravated by then. So that's about a number 4. 3 or 4 is as far as I'm going to go with those strips, because really I just don't want to battle the clay that much. I don't do really anything with less than a number 6 thickness, and that's even for just little thin accent pieces, not for these blends. So you'll see over time, you know, what you want to do, but that's my recommendation. I'm going to trim that off now because those ends really do show in this type of a, you know, of a blend. I'm going to get ready to roll it up into a jelly roll. So with this one, the dark color, the fuchsia, will be on the inside. So I'm making a tight lip there, really tight, because if you leave a hole there, it can really cause problems that you can't get rid of later. Don't mind that work surface. I taped it down for the second video because I think the little rubber feet wore off or something, because it's kind of scooting around in this one, but what can you do? I'm going to roll that up till I get close to the end. Now I'm going to thin out the end of my white. You don't have to do this. It's just something I like to do because, you know, white and yellow, a couple colors, can really be stark in your design. And so sometimes you can just give them kind of a delicate gradation toward the end by just thinning them out. That's a cane bender in a 1/2 inch size. See how they're 6 inches long? I work in mostly increments 6 inches and under. So I like to have rollers that aren't, you know, too long. You can kind of control them a little bit. And you can get those at tinypandora.com, of course. So I'm making a bevel cut on this edge. And I really like the way that that comes around and settles down smoothly. And I'm just going to, you know, just gently close it. And we're going to use those lines later in things that we do to show us where to cut. So there's the other one I did with the white on the inside. I didn't show you that one, but you get it. And let me show you how to do a 3-part blend. This is just so fun, and you know, when you're only using one color, it gives you a good chance to mix up a, you know, a little variation. Those are 2 by 3 inch on a number 1 setting. And I'm going to cut a space to put my black. Now, I didn't want to make any pink and white next to each other because we got pink and white coming out our ears. So I wanted to put the black in the center so that I end up with some gray and with some dark fuchsia. But you'll have a blast making 3 and even more color blends, because putting different colors next to each other and creating new colors is really a big part of the fun, I think. I'm going to knit that together a little bit, make sure I can get it picked up and put in the pasta machine. Keep my colors separate so that I can use them later on. And we'll make a fold in this so it can go with both those colors and yet not be the same color, and put it through the pasta machine, and we're going to blend it up. Sometimes it helps to just roll over them a little bit and just make sure that they're stuck. It's really a bummer when you go to pick them up and they all flop around and fall apart. So, you know, we always use our blade to pick things up that we don't want to fall apart. fold it this way, and so this is a case where all three colors are touching the rollers. That's how you know which end to put in the machine. We'll pop it in, see what we come up with. Voila. So there we have all kinds of colors there. That could be a jelly roll too if we wanted to. If you want to make it into a jelly roll, you can, because it's just an accent piece that we're going to have fun with. But I'm making this one into a fan fold so that I can show you, how easy fan folds are to make. You can do all kinds of things with these. And we'll be looking at that in the next video. But for now, we've just made ourselves just a little fun thing we can use just to vary up the cane and draw attention to the spot in the cane. You fold them up just like that. It's stuff like this that's so satisfying, isn't it? You just, at this point in the cane making, you're starting to really relax. And so you can imagine how nice it is to actually build cane with all this stuff that you made and not have to stop and worry about, making more components. I'll just trim that off there. That's plenty of white for that one. I could extend that end and wrap it back if I really thought I should, but that's just about the amount of white that I'm going to want for the way I'm going to use this little unfolded, blended three-part. So this is what we've got so far. You've got this much left. These sheets we're going to use a lot of. I've got that one really thin one. That's going to be little pops of line in our cane. The other thick one is just there because I often need sheets for this or that. But that's about as thin as I want to go. That's number 6. That's because I want some delicate lines in the cane. I've still got my black and my white and pink left over that we're going to use for other things. Got 2 different jelly rolls there and our 3-part. Down toward the front there's some logs. The round one there is made into a triangle right below it. And I'll show you how we do that because triangles are great fill and they fit in lots of spaces, and the fill really is an element of its own, and you'll see that as we go. I don't want to talk too much about cane concept in this segment because talking about caning is pretty boring. Later when we're doing it, I think we'll talk about it a little bit more. But this is how you make a triangular fill section. And when fill hooks together, especially black, it's very dramatic, it causes all new motifs to appear. And that's huge for me in the kind of caning that I do, because I want everything that we put in there to create another motif that can be joined with another one and create a third. So that's the way that you can make some triangular fill. Just take a nice even log, pinch it on 3 sides. This is where we start using our grid because we can see whether we're on the right track with that. I've got that one little bit narrow end, so I'm keeping an eye on having the rest of it turn out to be of a uniform size, and you can do that when you're looking at your lines there. So I think that's worth doing now. See that little narrow end? You can really notice it on a grid. And this is only important because, people often say, how do you get it so symmetrical? How does it line up? Well, it lines up because our pieces lined up. So I hope you like this. Your material's all ready now if you have this, and we're almost ready to start making cane. I can't wait. Come to see me for part 2.